Yo, it's your boy Vegabomber, and welcome to Vegabomber Land. Well, you know what time it is. It's time for me to discuss the latest movie that I've seen. And the latest movie that I've seen is Hacksaw Ridge. Now, you might know that I'm a history buff. Yep, Vegabomber is definitely a history buff. And so I love these movies, especially movies about World War II. Now, the big thing about this film is probably the idea that Mel Gibson is the one that's directing it. So the idea now becomes, well, Mel Gibson, really? Should we really put him back behind another camera and shoot based off of his old ignorant comments that he's made before? Well, the funny thing about that is, and it's really not funny, but Mel Gibson in this film, in terms of directing it, I have to say, the man knows how to direct with the camera. It's just like if you're looking at Eddie Van Halen put a guitar in his hand, well, when it comes to a camera, put it in Mel Gibson's hand. Because he knows how to shoot film. So Hacksaw Ridge is the true story about one medic by the name of Desmond Doss. Now, Desmond Doss was a guy who grew up in Virginia, and he was a guy that was just what they would call a conscientious objector. He's just someone that just didn't believe in violence, though he also at the same time felt the pull to do something for his country, to be patriotic. Of course, this is in the 40s, and so this is a time where men are being drafted, and his brother gets drafted. His father also was a war veteran as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But he's just struggling with the idea that I want to do something for my country, but I just don't want to shoot anybody. I don't even want to touch a gun. And so, henceforth, the story that unfolds, how does a guy join the army but not fire one single bullet and then save so many people? And that right there is absolutely juicy. You just want to see how that plays out. So Desmond Doss himself is played by, you know who it is, Spider-Man himself, Andrew Garfield. Yeah, that's Spider-Man. I know some of you don't like Tobey Maguire, don't worry. Andrew Garfield, that's who's in this movie. And he's playing the Desmond Doss, the guy that many stories have been written about this guy, about his heroicness, his bravery, just everything that's epic about being a good human being, Desmond Doss was. And so this is who Andrew Garfield's playing. Yes, to go from swinging around on webs and landing on buildings to climbing and scaling walls and saving people. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but I'm sure he would have wished he had his web shooters in this movie based off all the calamity that was going on around him that we know to be part of World War II. And definitely that dangerous ridge there in Okinawa. But I have to say this, in terms of performance, I mean, Andrew Garfield, an accent, yeah, maybe not him, but I didn't get the sense that it was just drawing me away from the film. It made me feel like, okay, yeah, I know it's Andrew Garfield, but the acting, the shots, the moments that they pulled up for the close-ups, and he had to act with his face to carry the length or the width or the breadth of this particular scene without necessarily having to use words a lot of times. Now that's acting when you can say it without saying it. You know what I mean? And he did that. He delivered that. So I would say that if he doesn't get nominated, it would be pretty interesting. But this piece of acting, this performance from him, yeah, I was on board. Also in this film was Hugo Weaving. And Hugo Weaving, you know him, he was Red Skull, right? You know him also as, he was Megatron. And then he was also in, gosh, why am I forgetting? Oh, Mr. Anderson, yeah, Mr. Smith, Agent Smith, right? And so here he is showing up now in this film playing the father, a father, World War I veteran, who's got a little PST going on, a lot of post-traumatic stress syndrome going on, and maybe not such a great guy, or is he? You have to watch the film to find out. But definitely somebody who had some inner demons that were getting after him. So I have to say, I was pretty impressed with that. And also in the film was Vince Vaughn. Now this I was a little worried about because Vince Vaughn is usually known for his comedic acting chops. And so to see him play a drill sergeant in the Army, you're kind of wondering, can he really do that? But really, he actually pulls this off pretty well. In fact, Vince Vaughn is probably the comedic force in this film. There's a way that he's being sarcastic and tearing you down, but at the same time, it's funny in the way that he's doing it, even though he's really teaching those guys what it means to be, you know, a soldier. So Vince Vaughn, I was pretty surprised. And actually with his height, he's kind of an imposing guy. And now that he's a lot heavier than he was when he was in Swingers, yeah, I bought it. I bought Vince Vaughn, and again, we needed him because he was the lighter moments in this movie, and he did it. He brought it home. So no complaints with Vince Vaughn. And so the female lead actress, I believe her name was Teresa Palmer. You might remember her, I guess, well, the latest film she had done was Lights Out. Well, she plays the love interest in this movie. So she becomes Mrs. Doss, I guess, once, in the film they get together. And I gotta say, the chemistry between her and Andrew Garfield, it was believable. I mean, it was there, it was funny, it was light, it was playful, and in fact, she's the other kind of comedic part of the film in a sense. It's just their awkwardness of trying to date in a world like the 40s. Like, dating now is nothing like what it was in the 40s, but just to see that made it even funnier. So again, period piece wins, and again, she kind of made the movie fun with her scenes in the film, and, I got on board. So the movie as a whole, it's interesting because the first part of this film, it's all about setting up who Desmond Doss is, and then of course then showing you what the horrors of war looks like, and then what he actually did that was so heroic. And in a way, it's kind of in reverse of Saving Private Ryan in terms of the setup. So in Saving Private Ryan, you get the action in the war scene first, and then at the end, you get Tom Hanks asking at a gravesite, modern day, was I a good man? And this one is just the reverse of that. It's not the war scene first, it's the story of Desmond Doss and what kind of man he is first, and then the war scenes. And by the way, the war scenes will make you hold on to your seat because they are intense and it's relentless. And again, I don't think it's necessarily trying to glorify war. In fact, I know it's not. What it is it's just the eye that Mel Gibson has for filming just action and violence. I mean, this is very much up there with Apocalypto and the scenes in The Passion of the Christ where Christ is getting whipped. It's just, some scenes are really hard to watch, but they pay off though, and they fit and they belong there. So Mel Gibson does his thing, and I'm so happy that he was the person that actually shot this film. And then if you think about the story itself, it's really a message, and the message is, how far are you willing to stand or stay convicted to your beliefs? And that's what this is about. It's not preachy. It's not trying to tell you you need to join this religion or not join a religion. It's not doing any of that at all. All it's saying is that this man had a belief. It was with him for most of his life, and he stayed with it. And it was a matter of, was he just being stubborn and not wanting to see it a different way, or was he right to hang on to it, right? So it's kind of like Captain America in Civil War. Should he give in and sign the Sokovia Accords, or no, should he stick to his guns despite what Agent 13 said at that church during the eulogy for Agent Carter? So there's that. But I kind of thought it was good. So to sum it up, what did I think of this movie? Well, this movie definitely is a huge thumbs up. This is a movie that's definitely in my top 5 so far this year, easily. And we only got one more month to go after this. This movie is good. It's entertaining. It's worth every penny. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. So yeah, there's a couple places in the first half of the movie that the pacing kind of gets you a little bit. But again, that's the only nitpick I could really come up with. Other than that, this film, it's gorgeous to watch. And the action, the linear process of this film, just going straight ahead with a simple plot, really, but it's actually a good one. It's worth it. And I think it's totally worth it. And I don't think you should just sit here and listen to me talking more about it. You need to go out and see it. Go see it. I definitely think it's a good time. And don't worry about it. See it on the big screen. Don't wait till it comes out on VOD. Go see it now, because it'll be worth your money. You'll be glad you did. Now, I'm done talking about it. Your turn. Have you seen this movie already? Maybe you haven't, but if you have, what do you think? And if you haven't seen this movie, what is your all-time favorite war movie, or maybe World War II if you want to get that specific? Which one is your favorite? Put it in the comments, and I'll meet you there. Anyway, it's your boy Vegabomber, and I'm out. You! Quack! Home run. I always hit home runs. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing.